Obsidian Entertainment has built a reputation for crafting deep, choice-driven RPGs, and Avowed aims to continue that legacy. Set in a world of Pillars of Eternity, this first-person RPG promises rich storytelling, engaging combat, and a world teeming with lore. But does Avowed live up to the hype, or does it struggle to stand out in a genre filled with heavyweights? Let's dive in and see if Obsidian's latest adventure is worth your time. First and foremost, I have got to say that this game has exceeded my expectations so far. I've been at it for about 3 days now, and I'm happy to report that I have had zero bad experiences at all. The game has been running smoothly, with the exception of the occasional warping into the mesh in the city areas. However, that could be my rig, so I'm not going to throw blame at the game for this, because all I do is log out to the main window, back into the game, and everything's working perfectly again. Now, when I say this game is running smoothly, I'm talking about all the mechanics here. From the combat to the parkouring up the sides of the mountain, I have seen zero issues. In fact, I have never seen a game utilize weapon swapping so smoothly. For example, when I am middle mouse wheeling between my weapons, I am seeing zero lag, no hang-ups, and the charging effects of the weapon I'm using, which are dual pistols and a dagger, work more smooth than any game I've played yet. I mean, I just got off of a long Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 grind, and I was expecting this game to be subpar to that experience. But I have to say, I was completely wrong in thinking this way. Avowed, though being a different combat system, I know, just feels smooth. Everything is working the way the devs intended it to. You're not over mouse wheeling where you're flipping through multiple weapons. As soon as you scroll with that mouse, it is just going to the next weapon, and it's just so smooth. I know I'm using this word so much, but oh my god, it feels so good to weapon swap. I have not had that in a game yet. I've played games where weapon swapping is there, but never have I felt something so silky smooth. Next is the story-driven gameplay, which once again I was a little bit worried about due to a sizable amount of concerns posted to me from my subscribers about concerns dealing with the devs' previous issues in Pillars of Eternity 2. And I also watched a few early previews from a few content creators, including GamerX, where he left me feeling this was going to be a less than interesting part of the game. But oh my god, every part of the questing has been so enjoyable. It has literally been like watching a movie, as each quest moved the storyline in a direction which has me literally watching cutscenes for hours to soak up all the lore, all the backstories, as well as the primary storyline. Even while I was streaming the other day, everyone watching was commenting on how wonderful the dialogue scenes and the quest were meshing together. So Obsidian has really done a great job here on this front. And I believe that this questing part, if reported on poorly, I think it's because people haven't gotten deep enough into the game, because questing and dialogue and story are such a central focus on this game, and maybe if you don't have the patience for sitting back and relaxing to the game, it could be a little bit haphazard, because this game forces dialogue like no other game I have ever seen. Now, another very sizable issue which I had many concerns over when it came to this game was the state of exploration. I was a little bit unsure about the freedom and the scope of possibilities that could be present for the more adventurous at heart in this game. But oh my god, I have wasted so much time just running around climbing up stuff to find hidden treasures and upgrade materials, as well as unique items. For a map which is somewhat closed off, it took me around 8 hours of gameplay to start worrying if there was going to be anything else for me to explore in the starting area. But as anyone knows who has started playing this game, and of course there's kind of a spoiler here, there are more areas that open up as you are completing quest lines, of course. So much out there that you just can't fathom it. And the best part is the game design took this into account, because if you find quest items while you're just exploring around, then later stumble on the quest givers themselves, hey, it completes the quest for you. So it is so put together well. It's a great designed game. I really believe Obsidian has done a great job here. And since we're on this topic, I have to bring up the world design in general. It's a very lovely game, and I think the Unreal Engine 5 works in a way that truly benefits the environment and the character realism that comes here. Because, of course, all of this is fictional. All the plants, all the animals, all the characters, they're all like things that don't exist. But there is a natural realism that kind of fits together in there, as you'll see if you ever jump into the game. And what I'm trying to say here is the textures of the character skins, for example, are leaps and bounds better than other games I've seen thus far. I mean, there are no stringy, odd beard hairs or head hairs like popping out. I think hair is such a hard thing for game design to cover, but this game, the hair looks nice and bushy, very realistic in many ways. The skin qualities of the NPCs also look really smooth as well. And of course, the natural aspect is on par with every other contemporary game out there when it comes to nature. But for example, if you look at the skin of Kai, one of your first companions that you'll get, it just looks so silky smooth. I don't know how they were able to do it. Now, there are a few things I would like to see changed in this game. For starters, and this is truly a subjective bias here, I want there to be a criminal action incorporated into the future, because currently you can just run through every house and everywhere and just pick up and loot items freely. I mean, I was at the chapel in the main city where there was a priestess organizing stuff in the basket, and I saw that you could loot from it. I literally just took everything while she was fiddling with it, and nothing happens. It's yours. Everything that is lootable is yours. And I kind of know that this comes handy because you are kind of using a lot of materials in this game to upgrade or to make food for health and other essence recovery, stuff along these lines. But, it just kind of disconnects me from the reality of the game when I can just walk into a store owner's shop and literally pick up stuff right in front of him and he's not saying anything to me. So there is that kind of aspect that I would like to see changed. Another thing would be the logging of text you are reading around the world. Now, I know this isn't Skyrim, but there are books and papers and parchments everywhere, and only those pertaining to the main quest seem to stop glowing when you interact with them. So I'd like to have some kind of backlog that I could geek out over and act like I'm a true academic in the future, and I read through them and see what the lore has to offer once I've completed the game a few times and there's not much else for me to do. That's kind of what I used to do with Oblivion and Skyrim. So I would like something similar here, just so that I could keep up with all the time and effort that was put into making these small little readable documents and books around the world. The population of the environment could also be revamped as well. I mean, it doesn't feel empty, but it does feel a little bit empty of hazards, and the diversity of environment could also be revamped as well. I mean, it is a little painstaking that in a certain region, you are going to fight the same creatures over and over again. I mean, there's only maybe 5 different creatures that you will be ever coming against in the first area. Then when you get into the second area, of course, they incorporate mushroom people. But I mean, before that, you're fighting bears. In the second area, you're also fighting bears. You're just fighting bears with mushroom people. So it just kind of feels like they have reskinned something up, and there could definitely be a more diverse concept of enemies for the future that they could work on. Now, of course, I still have a lot of game ahead of me here, and that leaves a lot of ground to be covered in terms of finding things which I do not like about it. But to this point, I have to say this game has been like a vacation from the tedious, grinding anxiety that other games have handed me in the last 3 months. I mean, I'm not sure if there will be another game released in this genre this year, but at this point, I have to say the only point which elevates Kingdom Come, which is the other title, which is a very story-driven RPG, over Avowed, is the diversity of dialogue in the quests. And what I'm trying to say here is Kingdom Come has the serious, the tragic, and the humorous, where this game only has a very straightforward, serious tone. I mean, you will never find yourself carrying a drunk guy halfway across the map looking for a campsite which you can't remember where it's at in a very comical manner in Avowed. Avowed is just serious. We have to get from point A to point B, but that doesn't take away from the story at all because they've done such a very good job with it. But now, in terms of combat and exploration and world building, Oblivion has definitely outdone themselves with this game. It is so nice to play this game. Tell me what you think. Have you had a chance to jump into the game and explore the wild lands of Avowed? I mean, if you agree with me, tell me. If you disagree, also let me know so that we can have discussion over this and we can try to fit together what might make this game work better for you in the future.